Your News Prime.
It's a beautiful Thursday and good evening. Welcome to Joy News Prime, coming to you live from our studios in Accra. My name is Aisha Ibrahim. We're also available across the continent and Europe via the ABN channel 235. And ahead of this bulletin, Supreme Court dismisses suit filed by Progressive People's Party against government on the implementation of FQ policy. Suspects in murder of 2 African Americans denied bail, even as first accused confesses to crime. Also, Finance Minister reveals to Parliament that monies owed the NHIS service providers have long been released by his ministry. Meanwhile, economic activities in Joapong and its environs affected by closure of Volta Star Textiles Limited. And Executive Director of Domestic Banking at EcoBank debunks assertions banks will gain abnormal profits following policy rate increment. Details of these stories plus sports and international news shortly. Many thanks for your time. In our very first story, economic activities in Joapong and its environs have been affected by the closure of the Volta Star Textiles Limited. Joy News' Latif Idris visited the factory and has come through with this following report.
At its peak, Joapong Textiles Limited, now Volta Star Textiles Limited, used to employ about 3,000 workforce. Today, the factory has just about 1,400 workforce. Now, for the past 6 months, workers here told me they have not been paid. And for the past 3 weeks, workers have been asked to go home because the factory owes ECG. What could be the reason for all this happening here at Volta Star Textiles Limited? Could some of the workers here have been speaking to me?
The problem is, right now, we are working at a factory, tester. But they are not paying, they are not paying workers. We workers for the factory. So right now, about 6 months now, there are no pay. So we are hungry.
Indeed, the factory was left in one man's hand to handle this company. The one chief executive, he was manning the place. And whatever is happening, we are not hearing anything of it. But we understand he went and signed an agreement with GTP. Unfortunately, those things were not in favor of us, because if we are working, at times we're short of raw material, something like a start. The machines have to be stopped for about 3 weeks before they'll bring in this starch. And in fact, he did not handle the place well at all. That brought all this problem.
The temporary closure of the Joapong Textiles Limited, now Volta Star Textiles Limited, is affecting economic activities right here at the Joapong market. Now some businessmen and women here have been sharing their thoughts on the temporary shutdown of the factory. I have one such businesswoman here with me. She's going to tell us exactly how the situation is affecting business. You're welcome to Joy News.
Thank you.
The temporary shutdown of the Volta Star Textiles Limited, is it affecting your business in any way?
Yes, it's affecting us in so many ways.
Can you share with us?
Oh, because of that, the workers are not buying because they are not been paying them. So we are not selling anything in the market. So we have it difficult to eat.
Wow.
I operate a restaurant here. Yes.
The closure of Volta Star Textiles Limited, is it affecting business in any way?
Really, it's affecting everything in town. You know, guys are not working, they are not being paid, and in fact, my business is not going, but they eat here a lot. You know, this is why they eat, and but now it's like nothing is working out. And the guys are not being paid for over 7 months, and it's like nothing is working out here. And the place is deserted, as you can see.
Things are not going on well. For past 4 or 5 months, they have not been paying them. So it's very difficult for them. Some of them have a wife and children. It's very difficult even to take care of them.
So savings-wise, your bank, is it affecting?
Yes, it's affecting the banks also.
How is that?
Yes, because we pay them. The salary is not coming. Everything is very difficult.
Joe here is parking early today because he tells me business is not good. You're welcome to Joy News, Joe.
Yeah. My name is called Joe, and those times 92, you know, the environment is very good. And this time you can see everything is very poor. We work at J-Town, you see, at least 6 months, and even pay us, you see, and we still come back to our business. And at least we boys, we are suffering, and we need a good environment that be in J-Town for we the guys is to move in normal.
Well, the water level in our Konsombo Hydroelectric Dam has dropped below the minimum operating level of 240 feet. The level as of today is 239.98 feet, though the dam has continued to operate with the reservoir going as low as 235 feet. Engineers have advised against it. But how critical is the current level of 239.98 feet? News editor Israel Ai has been following the energy issues for most of his journalism career and gives us some insight.
The situation is critical, but the engineers will tell you it's not dire. So it's bad, but not very, very bad, because the dam has actually gone to 235.76 feet before, and we are currently doing 239.98. So yeah, we could stretch it a bit.
Would you remember when it went this low?
I think 235 was, I think, in 1984.
1984?
Yeah.
And if you compare the population at the time and now, then it is dire, I would say.
It is critical, but not dire. Yeah,
well,
because we can keep running it for a while. Akosombo is supporting. Akosombo is currently doing 4 units. You know, if you look on the screen, you see that there are about 4.
Well, we don't have that on the screen yet, but if we have
so
it
exactly, so you see there are about 6 orange ones. They're currently doing 4 of them. 4 of the turbines. And they say that during the weekends, when the demand for electricity is not so much, then they'll be doing 3, because sometimes they would want to drop it a lot further. But so they're managing the situation as it is. Otherwise, there are 6. Otherwise, there are 6, and if we're running all 6, we probably could be seeing the water drafting or going down at a much faster pace.
Now let's talk about how far the VR intends to straight the dam. How far do they want to go?
They are looking at, you know, it's currently, like I said, 239.98. They're willing to take it to 238. They're at this current rate, it's dropping at about 0.05 feet a day. And they're hoping that at this rate, they can take it to June, the end of June, when it's going to get to 238. 238, they're hoping that at 238 things would improve. The other plants that they're looking at bringing on stream will come on board, and so then they wouldn't have to, at that point, then they don't have to. So
there will be very little pressure on it.
There will be less pressure on it. And there are a number of things that they're looking at that will happen.
Right. But let me find out from you, Israel. I was asking when you entered the studio whether the situation has become so dire that we have to stop drinking water and go pour them into the dam. But I don't think so. But is the water in the reservoir rising at all?
It is rising, but what's actually happening is there's some water trickling in. But right now, they're not interested in trickles. They're actually hoping that there'll be volumes.
So the energy crisis has hit hard also at healthcare delivery in the country. In the western region, authorities at the Takoradi Hospital must raise 16,000 Ghana cedis every month just to buy fuel to power their generator. Here's a report by William Benjamin Peters.
The din caused by the generator is a welcome for any visitor to the Takoradi Hospital. It was evident that the facility was without electricity. About 6 empty yellow gallons, popularly known as Kufuor gallons, were lined up near the generator, sited close to the hospital morgue. The hospital spends 8,000 cedis every 2 weeks and 6,000 cedis per month on fuel for the generator. Administrator Frank Owusu Asare says the hospital is operating at a loss due to this expenditure. They are indebted to suppliers, some of whom have threatened to cut off their services if the hospital does not pay up. He, however, assured that the facility has no intention of sending away any patient or charging extra due to the situation. Frank Osei Asare, however, reiterated the need for health facilities to be hooked onto solar energy, which includes newly constructed facilities in the country.
It actually poses a very big challenge to health managers, how you'll be able to survive, and perhaps even in the future, how even we have to run health institutions. I think now the best way to go is that we have to look at solar, because there is no need providing very beautiful edifices where women's service cannot be provided because of electricity.
Unfortunately, irregular reimbursement of health insurance money is also another challenge confronting the facility, with the hospital being owed 619,697.17 cedis by the National Health Insurance Authority.
Meanwhile, authorities of Joabing Government Hospital in the Ashanti region rely on funds from the hospital's mortuary to buy fuel to power a standby generator to keep the facility running. The hospital spends 10,000 Ghana cedis every month on fuel in the face of the worsening power crisis and delayed payment of health insurance claims. Joy News' Mahmoud Mohammed Nuruddin visited the Joabing and Ifijasi Government Hospitals and has filed this report.
Over 130 outpatients receive healthcare services daily here at the Joabing Government Hospital. Giving quality care to these patients is, however, now a luxury. With a monthly 10,000 Ghana cedis fuel bill to power the generator, operational costs have shot through the roof and the hospital can barely afford anything else. The situation has been compounded by low voltage from the national grid. Thus, when there is supply, it is inadequate to power hospital equipment and standby generator must be turned on.
You can't power some of the machines. You need to put it off and put on the generator because the current is so low. Even common TV, you cannot power the TVs. I told you also that we need power to pump our water to work with. We are using borehole to pump water to run the services. And because of the current nature of the current, as we sit here, we are having electricity, but the water is not pumping because the current is not strong enough to pump the water.
As part of control measures, the generator is turned off at 11 p.m. Health workers and patients have to resort to torchlights, lanterns, and mobile phones to see their way through till daybreak.
If we are able to work on the station and there is no need for the light to continue going on, we put the generator off and put it on the next day to work.
Authorities buy fuel on credit from local dealers who are reluctant to continue to supply due to mounting debts, especially with NHIS claims payments in arrears. To pacify creditors, officials have had to rely on the hospital mortuary proceeds to offset the debts and avoid total closure. Officials will not say what percentage of revenue from the mortuary they are using to buy fuel, except to say it is currently their lifeline. Barima Osei is administrator at the hospital.
On average, you spend about 10,000 Ghana a month on fuel alone because every other 2 days you need to buy 1 drum of diesel to power the generator.
It is 6:20 p.m. here at Ifijasi in the Setre East District. The entire town is in darkness. Checks reveal, as usual, they are off the national grid tonight, but with the help of a generator, the situation at the Ifijasi Government Hospital is lit. Authorities have to buy fuel which averagely cost the hospital 9,000 Ghana cedis a month. Here is a patient's Mamisewa.
Authorities attend to us with the aid of torchlight.
Even though hospital authorities will not speak on camera, they lament over the situation. The generator here also goes off at 11 p.m. However, there's a small generator that powers the maternity ward.
Let's do some health, and at a time when public and private health facilities across the country have been left in huge debt, with some forced to revert to cash and carry because of non-payment of National Health Insurance Scheme arrears, Finance Minister has revealed it has long released monies to settle all outstanding claims. The Finance Minister's assertion in Parliament today has left some MPs baffled and are questioning the whereabouts of the monies.
Right, Honourable Speaker, I rise to ask the Minister for Finance what measures have been put in place by the ministry to ensure that reports on the releases of the National Health Insurance Levy are submitted to Parliament in accordance with Act 852. Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker.
In the recent past, we have used the occasions of the annual budgets and media reviews to report to Parliament on the status of releases of statutory funds, including National Health Insurance Levy. The introduction of GIFMIS would help improve our accounting and reporting systems, and ultimately the timely submission of an instant electronic access to reports on the National Health Insurance Levy to this August House. Mr. Speaker, releases from the National Health Insurance Levy into the Health Insurance Fund stood at 828,389,000 in 2013 and 1,163,199,000 Ghana cedis in 2014. In 2015, payments to the National Health Insurance has been made up to date. This means that the ministry has fulfilled all its obligations to the National Health Insurance Fund, including payment of all arrears.
Let's stick with Parliament, because the leader of government business and majority leader in Parliament has been speaking to the media about how members of Parliament will use the Job 600 offices. He revealed the House has put in place a transition program that will be implemented from beginning of June to the end of that month.
The offices are not personalized because, as you all know, every election produces a different matrix. And so we are expecting that the next election will also give some differences in numbers. So we are not going to personalize them or make them constituency specific. The office facilities are 252. And as you know, we have 275 members of Parliament. What we've decided to do is to give priority to members of Parliament. Those of our colleagues who have happened to have opportunity to serve in the executive will have to bid their time. And so all the members of the minority will get office accommodation. We will give the rest priority, and then the remaining officers, we may have to call on our colleagues in the executive to share some offices, and we will also get a place at the chamber block as a ministerial holding room, so that any time ministers come to transact business with the House, they could make use of that place.
If you just joined us, you're still watching Joy News Prime. We'll be back shortly. We're back on Joy News Prime, and we're getting to the education sector, where the government has been downplaying an OECD survey on the quality of education in Ghana. The country was ranked at the bottom of the survey of 76 countries, but in a swift response, the Education Ministry said Ghana's education system continues to make great gains. Deputy Minister Samuel Okudzeto-Ablakwa says, contrary to what the OECD survey says, the quality of education in science and maths is increasing.
We are also saying that this is a report that purports to focus on maths and science. We are saying in that vein that as a ministry, we have long realized that mathematics and science deserve special attention. And so we have been embarking on a number of interventions, including engaging the services of Professor Anko and Professor Alote, renowned global mathematicians, to help us retrain our maths teachers. And as I speak to you, there's an ongoing boot camp where we are retraining 1,000 maths and science teachers so that they will take a second approach approach, a second look at their methodology. They will make maths and science more attractive to the young ones, more interesting. Because we have an internal survey here which shows that many of our teenagers don't find mathematics and science programs to be exciting. They do not look forward to the next math class.
But
we have also made.
Does that not come through to the same point which is made in this report, that indeed, when it comes to the matter of maths and science for Ghana, if you look at the rank of 76 other countries, we're the lowest. It means there's a challenge, isn't it?
We have always said that we have challenges in our educational system. We have never claimed that we run the best educational system in the world. What we will not accept also is that we are not the West. For 5 consecutive years, we have received the best WASI performance. We have picked all top 3 awards.
But are we getting the results that we do need in terms of performance and its direct relation to our economic growth today? Are we getting that?
It's a very good question. We believe that we can do better. We have had issues since we've been here with teacher absenteeism, for example. When we came to the Ministry of Education, it was at 27%. We waged a war against it. It's come down to 11%. We think that it's still not good enough. We also observed that we had serious challenges with teacher deployment. We carried out a staff rationalization program and found out that over 14,000 teachers were at the wrong place.
Still sticking with education, but this time at the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court has dismissed a suit filed by the Progressive People's Party, PPP, against government on the implementation of the free, compulsory and universal basic education policy. The party accused government of failing to enforce the FQ program to the latter. They were seeking 7 reliefs, including a declaration on the true and proper interpretation of the 12-year period within which the program would have been fully implemented. Speaking to Joy News after proceedings today, 2012 PPP flag bearer Dr. Pakwese Indum said they are disappointed by the verdict.
Well, we put a case there. And if the court says it has dismissed it, obviously we'll be disappointed. But we don't know what their rationale is. But that is not the important point. The important point for us is that we have put this matter to light. We have put it to light. We have let everybody know that it's an important matter. So when an OECD comes and says they review 78 countries and Ghana is at the bottom, we are last as far as education is concerned, there you go. There you go. You can't say I'm a father, I'm a mother, and I don't want all my children educated. What sort of a nation are we going to have? Not gold that will save us, not diamond, not oil and gas. It's education, education. So for us, it's enough for a party like the Progressive People's Party to demonstrate to all Ghanaians that we are concerned about the things that are in the national interest. Free, compulsory education is in the national interest. Just as Americans have gone beyond high school, we are just talking junior high school. That's all we are talking about. We're using this to emphasize the point and let Ghanaians understand the point. Who would I be without education? Who would I be from Elmira without education? So that's what we're fighting for, and we will continue to fight. It doesn't matter whether it's a court, whether it's in politics or in election or wherever. We will continue to fight for it.
Away from education, Deputy Works and Housing Minister Samson Ahi is urging post-secondary institutions and public hospitals to endeavor to pay their utility bills. Government recently instructed the Ghana Water Company and the Electricity Company of Ghana to exempt schools and hospitals from ongoing disconnection exercise in various parts of the country. Speaking in an interview with Joy News, the Deputy Works and Housing Minister said the health and educational facilities should not take undue advantage of the directive. This comes on the heels of the Electricity Company of Ghana's announcement to embark on a mass disconnection exercise that will see all defaulting customers, including hospitals and schools in the Ashanti region, taken off the national electricity grid.
Most of the government hospitals and then the public universities owns Ghana Water Company huge sums of monies. And there's a directive from the Chief of Staff Office that because of the sensitive nature or because of the services rendered by hospitals and the public universities, Ghana Water Company should not disconnect them. But because of that, most of them are hiding behind that directive, and they are refusing to pay the debts on Ghana Water Company. So what I'm saying is that directive does not mean that they should not pay the debts they owe Ghana Water Company. Rather, because Cabinet in their wisdom knows that if you go and disconnect Kolebu, Konfanotri, you are creating problem because we will lose lives. And so don't disconnect them. But the authorities in such institutions must sit down with Ghana Water Company authorities and then come out with payment terms, arrangements to pay the debt. So I am calling on them that the directives that do not suggest that they should refuse to pay or they should not pay the debt they own Ghana Water Company. Because Ghana Water Company needs to get resources so that they can continue to provide water for them to use to provide services for Ghanaians.
Why did we wait for so long for the debt to accumulate to become huge sums of monies that they can no longer pay at a go before we start saying that, okay, we will not disconnect you, but let's set out modalities for payment?
Yeah, I think they took advantage of the fact that they know that they cannot be disconnected, as I've said earlier, because of the sensitive nature of the services that they provide.
Now, let's do some legal issues. First accused person in the murder trial of the 2 African Americans has confessed in open court to murdering the 2 African Americans who were killed at Fiancra near Akwamufi a few weeks ago. Anoche Alfrimpong told the court presided over by Veronique Mansfield that he murdered the 2 African Americans alone and pleaded with the judge to acquit and discharge the 5 other suspects. But the presiding judge, Veronique Mansfield, dismissed the suspect's assertion, insisting his claim was inconsequential to the case.
Presiding Judge Veronique Mansfield was just about to adjourn proceedings when a hand showed up among the accused persons. It was the first accused person, Anoche Alfrimpong, who in a dramatic manner pleaded with the judge to acquit and discharge the 5 others he was charged with. In a pensive mood, the first accused person said he murdered the 2 Americans, adding he was solely responsible for the crime. But the presiding judge discounted his assertion, maintaining his claim had no significance to the case before her. In an interview after the court session, counsel for the other 5 accused persons, Charles Owusu, said he's taking the confession of the first suspect seriously.
Well, obviously, that's a confession that she's made in the open court before the judge. We take seriously to that aspect of it, unless the police can show us they have other connecting evidence against our clients.
However, counsel for the 2 murdered African Americans, Samson Lad Yayenini, has a different view.
I'm sure you heard what the judge had to say about that. That was very much inconsequential to the process. He has said, and I think that's already in the public domain, the police has already put that out, that he has confessed that is the son of the Osofo Frimpong, who also in many ways misled the chieftaincy minister in the processes. He told the court that he is solely to blame because he did it alone, and so the others, should be left. Well, the investigators are on top of the case. They will establish what the motive is.
He asserts that the complainants have named other suspects, including the chieftaincy minister, who ought to be invited.
There are some others who were named, and it is my client's wish that those people will also be hauled before the court, or at least be interrogated to find out what their specific roles may have been in this matter. And those include chiefly the chieftaincy minister, because it is his unlawful seizure of the symbolic Fiancra stool and skin and his subsequent declaration of that symbolic stool and skin created by the National House of Chiefs as vacant that led to the impunity in that community.
The suspects have been remanded to reappear in court on May 28, 2014. Felix Akoyam, Joy News.
Meanwhile, the suspect Anoche Frimpong, who together with the other accused persons appeared before a magistrate court, dramatically put up his hand to confess but was denied that opportunity. However, my colleague Latif Idris has obtained an exclusive account of Anoche Frimpong's confession to the police in our reports.
In his narration, the suspect Anoche Frimpong says his motive for breaking into the apartment of the deceased was to steal. Killing of the two African Americans, according to Anoche, was not his initial motive. Journal's investigation reveals that in a sober reflection, the suspect, who is now standing trial as the first accused, made the shocking confession to officers who were at the scene. Anoche, prior to committing the heinous crime, was a full-time farmer and as part of his part-time job, worked as a caretaker in one of the apartments in Fiancra, a community of African Americans around Akwemufie, where the deceased persons used to live. He told officers of the Ghana Police Service he tied up one of the deceased who was in the room when he broke into the apartment. Anoche in his confession said, upon hearing the footsteps of Mama Lena, the second deceased person, he quickly went to hide in one of the wardrobes in the room. When he realized Mama Lena had seen her sister tied up, he, Anoche, emerged from behind Mama Lena and attacked and killed her with a club, and subsequently turned to tied up Zinga and killed her in his bid to conceal his act. The suspect, on his own words, demonstrated to officers how he used clubs on the deceased until he was convinced the two women had died. He proceeded to dig a hole where he buried the two and fled the scene.
We're still on Joy News Prime. We'll be back with business.
Business news is
time for some business, and Etonam says here. Hi, Etonam.
Hello.
So, what has the EcoBank boss been telling you of his assertion that the bank will gain profit?
Oh, you know, when the base policy rate is increased, banks will automatically increase their give us their interest rate. It will go high, and so they are saying that it means that the banks are going to get more. But they are saying that it's not true because they are going to have bad loans. People will not pay their loans if the interest rate is too much.
Well, let's hear that.
All right, my name is Eton Amse, Executive Director of Domestic Banking at EcoBank. George Mensah Asante has debunked assertions bank will gain abnormal profits following the policy rate increment. Although George Mensah Asante admits banks' lending rates will go up, he tells Joy Business banks are unhappy with high rates as that increase will give them bad loans.
Banks do not necessarily make more profit when the policy rate goes up or interest rate goes up. It rather hurts us because when you lend to customers at a rather high rate, I mean, the risk of default is there. So you notice that, I mean, in regimes where we have high interest rate, that is when we have huge NPLs. So banks are not happy when the rates are very high because as much as in the short term you are lending at those high rates, if you don't take time, you have a lot of bad loans. So we pray and hope that the micro indicators will improve so the interest rate will come down, then we can lend knowing that the customer will be able to pay.
An economist and former vice rector of the Ghana Institute of Marketing and Public Administration, Professor Stephen Adai, says he is disappointed in the Bank of Ghana for increasing the policy rate by 100 basis points. Professor Stephen Adai tells Joy Business the timing is inappropriate considering the current economic challenges businesses are facing. He is therefore calling for what he describes as a long-term national strategic framework to resolve the economic crisis.
The Bank of Ghana has increased interest rate by the base rate by 1%. At this stage, when your industries are collapsing, who are those who are going to borrow? So there are certain things which I think requires a much more radical rethinking. I think that at this moment, I would not have recommended it. It is a bit psychologically. I mean, even if in economic theory you will do is, the people are so down that you cannot at this time do certain things. I know that eventually the government has to increase revenue, but if you go, for example, raise company tax to say 30 or 35%, All that you are doing is that you may get a few revenue for about a few months, but then you collapse the remaining industries. So, but all these things must be within a long-term perspective. I believe that we cannot solve our present problem just looking today, but looking forward. We need a national strategic framework in which we are solving today's problem. For example, I know the Bank of Ghana is much concerned about controlling inflation. Brazil ran double digit, about 3-digit inflation, even against all the advice of the World Bank and everything else. Today, it is the 5th biggest economy in the world. The most important thing was that their short-term challenges were solved with a long-term framework. And at this moment, we don't have that framework.
And EcoBank customers can now satisfy their insurance needs while banking with EcoBank Ghana. This is because EcoBank has partnered Old Mutual to provide life insurance products and services to the customers of the bank.
The EcoBank Bank assurance is largely to ensure insurance inclusiveness in the country and increase the low penetration in the sector. The arrangement will allow EcoBank distribute to their over 800,000 customers life insurance products of Old Mutual like the educator, travel and funeral plans.
We notice that we have customers who will come to the bank to do banking and also go to an insurance company for their insurance needs. So we thought that if we have this bank assurance in place, if we come together with an insurance company, then you have a one-stop shop so that any customer who comes to the bank to do banking will have the opportunity to also assess his insurance needs.
The Bank of Ghana says the move is timely following the opportunities insurance sector presents to the customers and the economy at large.
As the largest sector of the Ghanaian financial industry, a lot of opportunities abound in the banking landscape. In addition to the benefits in terms of enhancing alternative distribution channels of both sectors, there is obviously no gainsaying the mutual synergy that this relationship will inure to the financial system as a whole. Both banking and insurance benefit from economies of scale, the law of large numbers, and operate also with reserves. Thankfully, public trust and confidence in dealing with our banks is very high, which enhances the viability and prospects of bank assurance as an alternative for increasing insurance penetration in the country.
The bank assurance for Old Mutual will provide shared value for the customers of both financial giants. The National Insurance Commission, while lauding the initiative, is also asking EcoBank and Old Mutual to adhere strictly to their guidelines in the implementation of the initiative.
That's how we wrap up with business. My name is Etonam Say. Aisha is standing by with more. Please stay.
Welcome back now to the rest of our stories. And the World Bank has asked Ghana to ensure its urbanization process complements rapid growth in productivity. A senior director at the World Bank said this at the launching of a report on Ghana Urbanization Review Project in Accra. The project, titled Rising Through Cities in Ghana, depicts rising urbanization challenges and how best to overcome them.
Presenting the report, which spans over 3 decades, World Bank Senior Director Ilhaz Vasquez described Ghana's growth as robust compared to other African countries. Factors that propelled Ghana's growth included capital accumulation, labor relocation, human capital accumulation, and total factor productivity. He, however, revealed that though cities are growing rapidly, industry and services sectors are not. The productive sector, for instance, has not expanded to accommodate the numbers. Despite the growth, access to potable water and sanitary facilities remain a luxury for many. Another worrying trend for the World Bank is the continuous expansion of land boundaries to accommodate growing urban dwellers. Despite these challenges, Mr. Vasquez applauded Ghana for its efforts, urging the country to work effectively to overcome the challenges realized.
So far, the history of the last few years in Ghana has shown that indeed it's a country that is reaping the benefits of urbanization. We need to make sure that cities in Ghana don't sprawl and expand too much, because that makes cities inefficient and more expensive. It needs to make sure that the cities grow with a very conscious effort to create jobs that are productive and well paid for the new incoming population and for the young members of society. Third, cities really need to make sure that they have the financial resources to expand infrastructure and services for the growing population.
You mentioned some red flags that we should be looking at, such as the expansion of land. Can you expatiate on that?
So as cities grow, the use of every plot of land is very important, and making sure that that's done in a transparent, efficient, and a way that allows all segments of the population to have access to housing, that the industries can locate, is a very important part of the process. And all countries have different trajectories and histories on managing the land. We always recommend countries to be able to have good management systems of that land so that the cities can grow in very efficient ways.
Hannah Odami for Joy News.
In our communities, residents of Bebom farming community in the Takwansu municipality of the Western region are up in arms against some activities of the Goldfields Ghana Limited Takwa mines. The residents complain that their buildings have developed large cracks due to continuous blasting activities of the mining company. Western Regional Correspondent William Benjamin Peters has filed this report.
According to the residents, most of their structures face possible collapse as the activities of the mining company continues. Residents claim the very foundation of their buildings shake when the blasting activity begins. They accuse the company of defying international mining requirement of a 500-meter buffer zone to be allocated between an open pit of a mining company and development, and also to ensure that people live outside of the blast radius of mining operations. Residents also claim the noise from the blast gives them sleepless nights due to the use of heavy-duty machines at night. Some of the affected residents claim leaders of the community as well as management of the company are paying less attention to their plight. Chief linguist of the community, Kwesi Apia, who doubles as the chairman of the monitoring team, said some efforts have been made by the leadership of the community, which includes the submission of a report on the company's activities in the community to management of the company, and they are awaiting their response by the close of this month. He, however, proposed that affected residents should be relocated or compensated.
It's about time they took a look at the impact of their operation on the community. They should relocate residents who live within the 500-meter zone so we can all live in peace, because the nuisance is just too much.
So if you just joined us, it's still Joy News Prime on Joy News. We'll be back shortly with sports.
The sports segment is brought to you.
70-year-old passed away on Tuesday at the Kolegu Teaching Hospital after battling cancer for 8 years, and there have been calls for a befitting burial and national acknowledgement of his contribution to football. The sports minister proposed the idea when he led a high-power delegation to visit the family of the deceased trainer.
We will, on behalf of the government and the people of Ghana, want to express our condolences to the family, indeed to the entire football fraternity of the country and the entire nation. It is early days yet, but we will make arrangements for the family perhaps to formally announce the death of our brother and then preparations for his funeral to His Excellency the President of the country. When the date is set, we will let the family know, and then we will take it from there. As
as officials of the Ministry of Youth and Sports, we think that if it is agreeable to the family, we would like to propose that the state teams up of the family to offer our brother a state burial or a state-sponsored funeral.
While the legendary Ghanaian coach Hydroelectric to win the CAF Champions League, CAF Confederations Cup and the Super Cup during his illustrious coaching career. Now still on the departed Sir Cecil Jones Atukwefu, and ex-Black Stars captain Stephen Appiah has been recounting his fondest memories of the coaching legend.
Myself and Sir Cecil, we have a good relationship. I remember when they called me for the national team. One day he came to Winneba and tried to talk to me, because I think that when I was playing Accra Sofik, he used to watch the matches, so you know the kind of player who is Stephen Appiah. By that time I was very, very young, so always when he sees me, he tried to motivate me by words and all that. I remember when and the under-17 Starlets, when we traveled to Germany, I was left behind because I was sick. So the team traveled to Oberhausen in Germany. I was not part of the team, and later I flew to join the team. When I got there, he was there, and always you can see that playing with the big boys is very difficult. So at times I feel a little bit I couldn't give what I have to, so always come closer. He is very an intelligent person. He always come closer to me, try to motivate me, try to encourage me. So I think that we have really lost a great person.
May his soul rest in perfect peace. Now, the National Sports Authority has confirmed to Joy Sports its directive to ban sports federations from pre-financing activities without hamper the country's preparation for the upcoming All-Africa Games scheduled for September in Congo-Brazzaville. There were concerns Ghana faced a possible no-show at the Continental Multi-Sport event after the directive, but the National Sports Authority claimed the Sports Ministry has committed to ensuring fans are released and explained their order was in respect of future competitions and not the All-Africa Games. Frederica Mensah Davis, a spokesperson of the NSA.
I know the minister, upon assumption of office, met the various chairpersons of the federations and assured them that he was going to make sure that government releases funds for us to attend the All-Africa Games. And I know he's working on that. This release came out not because of the All-African Games, it is because of other foreign travels that other federations might be wanting to embark on. But with preparation towards the All-African Games, that is entirely different. It's entirely different from the release or the decision of the board. It's got nothing to do with the All-African Games. I expected them to have actually met as a group with all the stakeholders like we, and then try to resolve the issue.
We know the finalists for the Champions League. How about the Europa League that's currently being played now? We'll have a look at who are playing. It's Sevilla who are leading Fiorentina by 2-0, making it 5-0 on aggregate. They should be in the final, and Nipro also beating Napoli by 1-0. That means that it's 2-1 on the aggregate. It's Nipro going into the final against Sevilla, who will really enjoy the CAF Confederations Cup. And Nipro, former club of Samalinkum of the Black Stars, formerly of the Black Stars, if you want to put that. That's all for sports. There's more. Have a good night.
Now, finally, some Ghanaian celebrities involved in the Dumsoma Stop Vigil to protest Ghana's protracted power crisis have responded to comments made by the Power Minister that they should channel their energies and efforts towards improving the crippling creative arts industry. The celebrities, including Yvonne Nelson, say they are not to blame for the current state of the industry, accusing government of failing to create an enabling environment for the industry to thrive.
I don't know, we don't have light. What do? We use light to do music. If I don't have light, you're telling me to get my music on the international market. How do I get there if I don't have light? His work is to make sure we have light. That's why he's the power minister. So he should concentrate and do his work. We will do ours. We find it very difficult, getting funding for our music to be done. It's not easy. So we don't have the necessary support. We're hustling. We're not selling CDs anymore. People are not buying cassettes anymore. What we do is put your songs on the internet. People download. Make sure you get a single, get a hit, you get shows to play.
So that's where we draw the curtains. My name is Aisha Ibrahim. Many thanks for your time.